Okay, so this is podcast 4. This one's about understanding. This is one I've wanted to do for a very long time because it's absolutely crucial to every aspect of our lives, not just our own fulfillment, but, in terms of creating inner harmony, external harmony, being successful in business. It's, harmony in the home. It's the absolute key to everything, including forgiveness. And so I just want to talk about understanding. I was thinking to myself, what's a good way to encapsulate the essence of what I mean with harmony, with understanding? And I could go as far to say that understanding is the only true commodity. It's the only bankable, tradable currency, really. And I'll give you an example. So I'm in the business of market validation, helping people to validate an idea or a concept. And the typical scenario is someone comes to me with an idea or a concept. We'll have a session. We'll explore together to understand the highest potential for that thing, the highest viable potential for that thing. And the first phase is, if we say, okay, there could be something here, is market validation. And market validation is a process of seeking failure. So with any new idea, with any new concept, with any vision, you have to make assumptions, because most people don't have enough money to invest in all the market research, all the time and the energy. And in New Zealand, it costs about $1,000 for one stakeholder interview. And in order to complete market research for the entire value chain, it takes time and energy, and you're still not going to capture all of the insight. You're still going to have to make assumptions. You're still going to have to make decisions based on the opinions of people within that value chain. And so market validation is a process of challenging all of the assumptions you've had to make on what your ideal client needs and wants, what the obstacles and barriers are preventing them from accessing what they need and want. Understanding, reconciling the differences between what they think they want and what they actually need. And in many cases, I can tell you from personal experience, the first thing you go live with that you present. So you begin promoting yourself, trying to get traction. The very first thing that you go present always fails, always, because all of your assumptions are bundled up in it. And so what you do is you methodically begin challenging those assumptions. So this is version 1 of what I believe is the most viable concept, business model, product, and you promote it, you advertise it, you invest in advertising, starting small. Am I generating traffic? No. So, okay, I challenge another assumption. What's another assumption I've made? Okay, tweak that. Here's a new assumption. Generate more traffic. Did I get traction? No. And you slowly but methodically, continually challenge all of the assumptions that you've made, that from where you began to where you are now. And every time, without fail, every time, you will eventually get traction. First of all, the traction will start in the terms of the traffic. All of a sudden, you'll challenge an assumption, in the advertising, and you start getting traffic. And so then you go, okay, I'm generating traffic now, but is the reason that they've clicked on that link in the advertisement, is that being met by the content on the website they're landing on the page? And so then you start doing the same thing again. You start challenging all the assumptions you've made on the page as to what they need to recognize, realize, understand, and be ready to do. So the process again and again and again, continually failing, continually challenging your assumptions. Now, what people don't realize is that this process is a process of understanding the truth of who your customer is, what they need, what they want, what they need to learn. What are the real obstacles and barriers preventing them from solving the problem? Is the barrier in their understanding? Do they need more education? Is the barrier fear? How can I negate that fear? Do I even really understand the problem I'm trying to solve? Is this person actually trying to get relief from the symptom of the problem they're trying to solve rather than actually have the courage to solve it at the root cause? There are so many different aspects to it. And so it's all a process of understanding. And so, but when you look at this entire process of market validation is a process of challenging all of your assumptions in a mindset of being prepared for all of them to be wrong. Now, if you bring this into your daily life, how many aspects of your life are you prepared to challenge your assumptions that you have to make on a daily basis? How many assumptions do we make on a daily basis? I mean, think about the scenario of walking down the street. There's a homeless person on the side of the road, holding out their hat, and you look over and they've got a cell phone and a dog. So what assumptions are you going to make about that person? Are you prepared to have those assumptions challenged? Or are you going to decide that they've got enough money for a cell phone, they've got enough money to keep a dog alive, I'm actually going to keep my money in my pocket because they don't need it as badly as someone else? Or if they can get enough money to keep a dog alive, then they can get a job or whatever it may be. But my point is, we make assumptions in absolutely every aspect of our lives, but very few of us proactively challenge those assumptions in order to reveal the absolute truth, to gain total understanding. And this is the thing. Everyone on the planet is following their nature in every moment. Every thought they're having, every feeling, every impulse is arising because of the nature of their existence. The DNA they're born into this world with. And, science has already proven this, that you carry the assumptions that your ancestors made about the lives they lived. You carry the perception of your ancestors in your DNA. And so when you're born into this world carrying, God knows how many assumptions. You're carrying all the assumptions of everyone who came before you in your lineage. And, we know biologically that perception changes your genes. That's how it works. You form a perception, your genes alter based on that perception. That's literally how evolution works. As you have a response to your environment, the signal comes in, your perception of whether that aspect of your environment is conducive to thriving or whether it's a threat to your survival determines the nature of the cellular makeup in your body. It determines the signals that get sent to say, okay, we need more muscle cells, we need more brain matter, we need to be more flexible, we need to be tighter, are all generated because of your perception of your environment. And here's the thing. Your perception is often based on an assumption. How true is that assumption? How prepared are we to challenge that assumption to get to the absolute truth? When we watch the news, we see all the stuff that's going on in the world, all the conflict, all the pain, all the suffering. How many assumptions exist based on a 2-minute snippet of an issue that's been going on for, God knows how long. We see horrendous terrorist attacks. And our assumption is terrorists are bad. Terrorists are bad. Nonetheless, they're following their nature. So imagine, these terrorists are following their nature. So their lineage, their ancestors, all the assumptions they made about their environment, all infused into the DNA of these people. They're born into their life, and immediately their environment is sending them signals. They're making more and more assumptions, and their nature arises. It's like a vicious cycle. And whether we like it or not, the nature of a terrorist has arisen because it is of nature. And probably because of thousands upon thousands of assumptions that were made through generations of time that were never challenged to the point where the truth was revealed and therefore understood. Understanding is the only truth. It's the only truth. But in the absence of understanding, assumption is it's all we have. Myself as someone who helps people launch and scale a viable business. Where do we begin? Make an assumption. Make an assumption, and let's start challenging those assumptions and failing as fast as we can, relentlessly. Letting go of all of those assumptions as quickly as we can in favor of the emerging truth. This is a commitment to allowing the truth to arise in each moment and never accepting an assumption. Even when a truth emerges, and this is the nature of understanding the nature of truth. Is that if you've made an assumption, that is a truth. The truth is in this moment that I believe this based on an assumption. My truth in this moment is that this is what I believe based on an assumption. It's still your truth. It's still your truth. You still believe that the homeless man, because he's got a dog and a cell phone, you still believe he doesn't deserve your $5 note. Understanding why he's in that position would completely annihilate that perception. It would totally shatter whatever assumption you've made about that person. Because regardless of the reasons why they're there, they are there because of their nature. They're there because of the generational assumptions that have been made within their lineage. They're there because of the assumptions that they've made based on the environment that they live in right now and that they've been exposed to. Their nature is always arising and assumptions are always being made. So what does this mean? Well, let's look at, if you were to apply this level of understanding to one thing, it would be to forgiveness. Because in this context, there is no scenario where you are unable to forgive something. Any resentment you might hold towards someone, no matter how bad you feel done by someone, how badly done by you feel, no matter what seeming wrong may have been done by someone else, to you, to someone that you love, and it could have been really, really atrocious. And I know some people will be listening to this going, there's no way I could forgive this person for what they did to my family or to me, and believe me, I get it. I get it. I mean, there are some scenarios where, some abhorrent things have happened to people and to people that we love that I actually don't get that. And I'm not going to pretend that I can relate to that. But what I'm saying from the perspective of my own truth and my own awareness and understanding of what I've discovered within myself and reconciling the parts of myself where I've made assumptions, and I've challenged myself to reveal the hidden truth of who I am, of what I believe. That's the part of me that I'm speaking from now. And what I can tell you is, from my experience, understanding is the key to forgiveness. There have been people in my life that I've had an intense hatred for, to the point where it's felt toxic. In my teenage years and in my 20s, I was very angry at the world. In a real mode of blaming some unseen force, some unseen authority for all the atrocities in the world. I wanted to be able to visualize and see an enemy in front of me, really just so I could destroy it. Someone is to blame for all the hunger. Someone is to blame for the fact that Monsanto exists. But it wasn't until I learned to understand my own nature that I came to realize that everything and everyone is following nature. Everything. Absolutely everything. And everything, by everything, I mean everyone. And when I've gone into scenarios where I've been extremely angry with someone, resentful, and been in a scenario of blaming that person for my own pain, for some cause of my own pain, my decision to challenge my own assumptions about that person and about the cause of my pain has led to forgiveness every single time. And, I know within myself that the brightest light is contained within the darkest shadows. And if we're prepared to move towards the shadows and right into the middle of them to understand the truth and the essence of the darkest shadows, they reveal the brightest light without failure. And it's understanding someone's perspective. Do we truly understand the perspective of generational terrorism? Do we truly understand the perspective of, people who walk into a high school and just empty bullets into people? Is it possible that the sense of insignificance, the emotion of feeling insignificant, can become so overwhelming that the only way you can conceive of reconciling that feeling of insignificance is to perform an act that has seemingly so much significance that it cannot be ignored? Nature arises. Nature arises. And the reality that I've come to know about myself is that I've felt insignificant. I've had to reconcile these emotions within myself, but you eventually come to realize that you're all of these things. I am insignificant. It's always a matter of context. But the universe is always going to amplify the parts of us that we resist the most. So if I'm feeling insignificant, the solution is not to move towards performing some kind of act of significance in order to seem significant, because I'm resisting my own nature. The reality of my nature that's wanting to express itself now is that I am insignificant. And so lean into it. Just claim the I am of it. I am insignificant. And just rampage it. Rampage the truth of it. I am insignificant. No one actually cares about me. No one actually loves me. Claim the truth of it. It'll set you free. Even if it's to the point where you believe your parents don't love you. Guess what? They probably don't. My parents don't even love me. Claim it. Claim the truth of it. This is how you bring understanding to yourself. This is how you understand your own nature. My parents don't love me. And guess what? Compare a human being to the sun. Insignificant. Compare a human being to the galaxy. Totally insignificant. The truth is simply a matter of perspective. You are insignificant. It just is. But your power lies in claiming that truth, not in resisting it, not in rejecting it and trying to move towards the light aspect of that shadow. I feel insignificant, so I want to feel significant. It's just amplifying the lie, because the truth of my nature in this moment is that I feel insignificant. And even deeper than that, I am that. I am insignificant. It just is. I can just be that, and I can give myself permission to be insignificant because I understand it. I know why I feel insignificant. Of course I do. I understand that nature just arises. Look at the environment I've lived in. Look at what my grandparents lived in. All the assumptions they had to make about their environment. That they were not evolved enough to challenge, to get to the truth of. And if you look deeply enough, you'll see the behaviors of your ancestors, and that what they were moving towards, what they were expressing into the world is often a reflection of the parts of themselves that they're most resistant to. And so you start to see the patterns. And the way that you truly break the pattern and break the cycle is to understand your own nature and to claim the truth of it, no matter what it is. In this moment, I am insignificant. It just is. And feel the power in that. Feel the power in that. The same goes for people who are depressed and are on the verge of suicide. The futility of their life and the sense of powerlessness that they have. To change that. The futility is what gets you. The futility. And in that scenario, and because I've been there, I've found all of this stuff that I'm sharing. I've found it within myself. I've found my own nature, and I've reconciled it within myself, and I've claimed the truth of that I am that. I am futile. I own it now. And in that futility, someone comes along with hope, and hope is like torture. Because the only thing worse than the futility itself is the sensation of hope and then the loss of that hope. And you're going in and out of futility and the relentlessness of the in and out of it. That is what can tip people over the edge. So understand when you approach someone who's depressed, they're in a total state of futility. And when you come to them and give them stories of, oh, but look at what you've got to live for. It's like a burning sensation under your skin. It feels like emotional torture. Understand this. Understand this. But the reality is that this torture is resistance to feeling and claiming the emotion of futility. I am futile. And to give it some perspective, to help you not feel so embarrassed or ashamed of being futile, compare yourself to the task of ending world hunger. Any attempt you want to make, futile. Changing the monetary system, futile. Changing the way we govern ourselves, futile. You know, a demonstration in the streets, you know, futile. They seem to be futile in the moment, but of course they're not. But the point I'm making is understanding is the key to self-liberation. Imagine being in a state of being where you give yourself permission to be absolutely everything, to experience absolutely everything. Imagine being able to give yourself permission to not be okay and feel freedom within that. And I can promise you that once you learn to understand yourself, and once you become adept at it, it's like a muscle, of course, you have to exercise it. Well, I won't say you have to exercise it, but the more you use it, the easier it becomes. And the more you understand yourself, the more compassion you have for everyone else, because you understand that you're always following your nature and so is everyone else. And therefore, even if you can't relate to the perspective of that person because they seem to have done something so abhorrent, you can still reconcile it because you know they're following their nature. They're not inherently evil. They're just resisting a part of themselves that they're so ashamed of that the only way they can release that oppression of that part of themselves is to outwardly express it. And they can't control it when it happens. Imagine having been exposed to an environment so toxic, horrendous, like a living nightmare. Imagine being exposed to that kind of environment. Likely your ancestors will have been exposed to similar environments. And then imagine the rage building up within you. Imagine the thoughts that you're having of wanting to, destroy yourself, destroy the people who are hurting you. That desire for destruction and for annihilation and for death, it comes from mercy. Because mercy is an authentic emotion that arises when suffering exists. And mercy doesn't pull any punches. It will remove the source of the suffering at any cost. At any cost. And that includes your perceived or even your assumed source of that suffering. And so in this, you can look at all of the atrocities that happen in the world as an act of self-mercy. You're always removing or setting out to destroy the source of your suffering. If you believe the source of your suffering is Monsanto, you have an authentic desire to annihilate it. If you feel that the source of your suffering is your parents, same thing. If you feel the source of your suffering is the people at your school, your schoolmates, your teachers, your desire to annihilate them is an act of mercy to end your own suffering. Understand this. This is an emotion that arises naturally. And so until we can all get on the same page with this and understand that when we see people in pain, when we see them suffering, know what the potential act of mercy could hold. You know, some people who have intense love for other people, you know, borderline obsession for them, sometimes they can, if that relationship breaks, the suffering can be so great that that person wants to annihilate their ex-partner because they perceive them to be the source of the suffering. You know, suffering relates to so many different areas of our emotional existence. You know, we could feel powerless on a day-to-day basis. And so if someone makes us feel powerless, we see them as a source of our suffering. We want to destroy them. We have thoughts of destroying them. We start imagining ourselves destroying them. Then the shame rises because we have to repress an authentic desire that's arising naturally. And so we try and hide it. Nonetheless, we keep feeling the emotion, and it builds, and it builds, and it builds, and it builds. That repressed desire will express itself one way or another. The only way to reconcile it is to allow the thoughts, is to allow the feelings, and to claim the truth of the emotion underneath, that I am powerless. And until we're ready to claim the truth that we're trying to resist, there's no other way to reconcile it. There'll just be constant thoughts trying to show you that you're powerless. The universe around you will seem antagonistic, or the people around you are trying to make you feel powerless. You're being bullied at work. Every part of your life is mirroring to you how powerless you are. And you're resisting it relentlessly. Always seeking to feel powerful. Always seeking to level the playing field when you see powerful people. But your power lies within the powerlessness. Your brightest light is contained within your darkest shadows. So, the truth of understanding. I would say, so in a business context, obviously you can see its merit. You challenge your assumptions until you understand the truth. Obviously the same with ourselves, with our emotions, with forgiveness. Understanding is the only way to create true harmony, internally or externally. And my hope is that someday, well, if I'm totally honest, my hope is that starting right now, that this concept of a state of being of continually challenging our assumptions about ourselves, about the people around us, about our nature, about the nature of our reality, that's our new way of being, that we bring that into every aspect of our society. We bring it into our homes, we bring it into our workplaces, into our organizations, into our communities, and that becomes our new culture. That we're now choosing to live in a culture of perpetually challenging our assumptions so that we're always working with the truth, our truth in that moment. And if we can do this at an individual level, we can begin to do it at a collective level. And we'll begin to understand each other, truly understand each other. And understand that what we actually want is we want to influence our environment in ways that are conducive to our most pure nature arising, so that we can realize our highest potential together. Okay, I'll leave it there. That's all for now. Cheers.